vote for Team A. If you don't agree on the topic, please do vote for the Team B. All right? And once the first person of Team A is start debating, I will stop the vote for the first round. And then if you after you after you finish the first round of debating of the first person of each team, if you change your mind, please do change your mind after I like the second vote of the first round. It's pretty confusing, right? But it's okay. Let it keep it like that. Otherwise, it's getting worse. Are you ready? Great. I hope you guys have a very good time of debating stuff. If you are ready, the first session. Oh, don't forget, please do vote, right? I mean, because the marks will be based on people's voting 50% and my marks 50%. And also, if you don't vote, it means you won't be tick for an attendance for this class. All right? So please do vote. Okay? For the first session, right? If you're ready, the first session is it is time to change the civilization development strategy globally and focus on sustainable socio-economic development or not. The support team or the pro team is Ms. Josiah, Ms. Poinry, Ms. Niracha, and Mr. Wachirawit. Please welcome them on the stage. And for the against team, we have Sudev, Pan, Punyapat, and Pusadi. Please welcome them on the stage too. Thank you. Come. Is that right? Okay. Please don't forget that don't forget that people on the debating team cannot vote for themselves. All right, you can't vote for themselves. Okay. Um, there'll be 5 minutes each. You don't have to spend 5 minutes, but you can't spend more than 5 minutes each per one debating sessions. The first debating guys, the first debater will sit here and here and so on. All right. The first one normally is the one who introduced the whole topic. Very good, the first one. And then we have the second uncle, which is the guys who trying to build up arguments. The third person will be the guys who respond the whole argument from the against team. And the last, which is probably the most important, is to wrap everything up and finalize the whole thing. All right, ready? Okay. Okay, good. Okay, Pater has some urgent mission and he just finished. Thank you. Ready? Pater, ready?
Hello.
Okay. Don't forget, we have two cameras here, right? You'll be broadcast live on YouTube, so look at this camera nicely, big smiles, and um, the camera will be like two cameras, right? When the first team pitch, there will be no camera on that side, so you guys can do whatever you want. But the camera will exactly pan for of you. So if you pitch, and then if you sleeping, and then the rest of the world know that you are sleeping. Okay. All right. So if you're ready, the first one, which is you, right? Okay. Okay. Cool. พี่หนึ่งครับ are we ready? Yes. Are you guys ready? The audience ready? Have you voted everything yet? Good. Okay. So let's do it. Let's start, please.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're here to support the idea of globally changing the civilization development strategy and focus on sustainable socio-economic development instead. And we definitely believe that it's now the time to change, and it has to be now and now only. I would like to first introduce you to civilization development. The strategy mainly touches on the aspect of improving the country's infrastructure, urban area development, shared communication, and labor division. with these improvements being reached, neglecting any other aspects other than rapid growth of the area. While these strategies are used to aid a country in striving for their own success, as the society grows further, many negative impacts are shown to outweigh the positive ones. The visions of the strategy is also clearly opposed to the sustainable development goals instead of catching up to it, and it's very harmful to rely on a development strategy that is not sustainable. Some current civilization development strategies are exclusive to people in the urbanized area, where rapid growth is expected, thus creating the issue of inequality, which further leads to many more problems aimed to be overcome by the SDG, such as the problem of poverty, hunger, well-being, education quality, and many other more. Not only that the quality of life is affected, the improvement of infrastructures in urban areas also cause environmental issues such as global warming, pollution, and huge consumption and exploitation of earth resources, which results in long-term negative impact globally. These are the major, though not all, reasons why the existing strategy is troublesome and that it's important for a sustainable change to be applied, in which a way to do so is to consider the combination of environmental protection, economic growth, and social equity. To give more evident view on why and how it's vital to shift out of the existing ways of improvement, our second speaker will be going into more details on the effects of these civilization strategies and why they are bad solutions. Then our third speakers will suggest an alternative sustainable ways, which is socioeconomic development, in replacement of the current practice. And our last speakers will wrap up the main points as well as go into detail on the strategy, its benefits, and why it's a better solution after all. Thank you.
Okay, if you're ready, the against team.
Yes.
Speak slowly.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Pasadi Prasavit. I'm the representative of the concise. Today, our team will be debating about why it is not time to globally focus on sustainable socio-economic development instead of civilization development strategies. Over the course of our debate, you will understand why it is not reasonable to globally implement socio-economic development at this time. Moreover, we will present you to some example of protocol signed for sustainable development. However, why the protocols were not able to be fulfilled due to restriction of country. Well, what is civilization development strategies? It is the strategy to improve the quality of life of citizens, citizen engagement, freedom of lives, security of lives, and sustainable development. Civilization is basically the term that describes developed scenario of our communities, city, and interaction in societies. According to Cambridge Dictionary, the word civilization means human society with its well-developed social organization, or the cultures and way of life of societies or country at particular period of time, and each of them are unique from others. The earliest civilization developed between 4000 and 3000 before the Common Eras, when the rise of agriculture and trade allowed people to have surplus food and economic stabilities. Humankind has mastered our surroundings, increased food production, built cities, established empire, and created far-flung trade networks. But did we decrease the amount of suffering in the world? Times and again, massive increase in human power did not necessarily improve the well-being of individual sapiens, and usually caused immense misery to other animals. In the last few decades, we have at least made some real progress as far as the human condition is concerned, with the reduction of famine, plague, and war. Yet, the situation of other animals is deteriorating more rapidly than ever before, and the improvement in the lot of humanity is too recent and fragile to be certain of. Yet, this is the fundamental part of civilization development at present. From now on, what is sustainable socio-economic development? Well, It is a concept that concerns the interplay between social processes and economic activity within a society. Being a concept, it means sustainable socio-economic development still not existed yet at this time. But why? Because of the fact that it is still not a time for the world to globally change. While some countries are ready to go to the next level of sustainability, some are still not ready for such a transfer of technology and convenience which is related to the pace of development. And some are even still starving. And when I say some in this case, it means more than 619 million people around the world are still hungry. Then tell me how our world will be globally developed when people are still living their lives in such unfair situation. Do you think they are ready to take care of sustainability and receive the burden of hidden agents from the developing country while they are still not even able to take care of themselves? Or is it acceptable to move forward and leave some people behind? Don't you think that the result from this hasty, unfair decision will escalate the gap between global society inequality, which is one concern of sustainable development goals, instead of narrowing them? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, that's great. So it's good start from both teams. I recently sent a link to the group line to for the second voting round of this first session. Please do vote if you don't mind. Again, if you support team A, the topics vote for team A. If you against team the topic, please vote for team B. All right, good. Okay, let's hear from the crowd. If you support team A, please clap your hand. Okay, good. Oh, okay. So if you support team B, please don't clap your hand. กูงงว่ะ Okay. Okay, it's okay. Not funny, nah? Okay. If you're ready for the second round of debating for team A, okay, please do so. Start.
So, our side would like to ask you back that why is it not time to change yet, since there could be seen having negative impacts nowadays? So, for many decades of using civilization development, it's time to change it for a better future. No one wants to make the future worse than in the past. We aim to improve drawbacks and find a way to avoid it happening again. Currently, many solutions that we have seen are provided from the issues arising in the past. One crucial effect that everyone is facing is the environmental effect. Have you ever thought that how will it be if one day our world is cooler than now? It's a good. If we ask our parents or ancestors about the weather in the past, most of them might say that it was better than what we are. But those actions that occur in the past affect us to face the environmental issues currently. As everyone knows, this impact influences people globally. The goal of being the leader in the competitive world encourages every country to create an infrastructure without considering the effects of it. A clear example would be global warming. It happens because of the effect of limited natural resources burning for energy. Burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal release high concentrations of many greenhouse gases, which lead to a rising in the Earth's temperature, especially the carbon dioxide. Those resources contain carbon that was pulled out of the atmosphere through photosynthesis over the span of many millions of years, while we just spent a few hundred years to return carbon to the atmosphere. And also, carbon is a long-lived greenhouse gas which is difficult to be removed. And according to the statistic from NOAA, it mentioned that the annual rate of increase in atmospheric carbon dioxide over the past 60 years is about 100 times faster than the previous natural increases, such as those that occurred at the end of the last ice age, 11,000 to 17,000 years ago. It can be interpreted that since civilization development has occurred it has disrupted the environmental considerably. That's why more sustainable resolutions are provided currently to tackle this problem before it's too late. Furthermore, civilization development causes another important effect, which is inequality and social standard. The diverse population dynamics have the potential to further exacerbate inequalities both in developing and in developed countries, and also at the global level. Similar to these examples, Tokyo, Japan, has overcrowding of people in an urban area. Due to the civilization of the urban areas, it attracts both tourists and rural people to come to the city. It causes the dramatic problem, which is the densely populated in the decentralization, and also abundant rural space. It causes inequality within the country, separating the urban and rural areas. Different places provide a different quality of life. People in the rural area have a high chance to face poverty. And for the global level, according to the Sustainable Development Report of the UN, it mentioned that in the developing regions, the proportion of people living on less than $1.25 a day fell from 47% in 1990 to 22% in 2010. About 700 million fewer people live in conditions of extreme poverty in 2010 compared with 1990. Only middle and high-income people can access civilization development. Moreover, increased urbanization and rapid population growth, as well as population aging, while reflecting rising prosperity in many countries, will put major strains on national and local infrastructures, public finance, as well as caregiving, health, and education systems. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. Lots of information and numbers now. Pan, are you ready? Okay, good. If you're ready, take it away.
So um, right now, it is not the right time to change civilization economic development globally. Um, Changing the whole process now will present an unfair advantages for undeveloped country. Since the developed country have already improved their economic status and don't affect much when it comes to changing the development strategy. There's no way that all of the countries will be equal. The topic stated that it is the time to change, but I see it clearly that it is not the right time. To support my point, there is already a similar situation which has already occurred. The Kyoto Protocol, an international agreement that called for industrialized nations to reduce their greenhouse gases emissions significantly. The agreement was to reduce the annual hydrocarbon emission by an average of 5.2 by the year of 2012. This number would represent about 29% of the world total greenhouse gases emission. In the end, only two EU countries, the UK and Sweden, were on track to reaching their targets, and the rest of them failed to meet their gas emission targets because their economic system needed to be maintained. And let's take a minute to think, how can countries like Iraq, Sudan, Algeria survive if the strategy changes globally? These countries still have war and are really poor. Corruption, poverty, war, hunger, healthcare, education, safety. These are only a few of the problems faced by people in developing countries. And many of these problems are caused by exclusion, fear, intimidation, broken infrastructure, and lack of money resources. 90% of these countries' economics rely on oil exporting. If strategy changes instantaneously, how will they survive? And another point is the disadvantages of sustainable socio-economic development is that the operation of sustainable socio-economic development are very costly, and it is very very hard for government to implement it in a major scale. Right now, most countries, including developed ones, are facing COVID-19 pandemic. They use up most of their resources to relieve the pandemic and boost the economic. It is really bad timing to change the strategy globally without concern for the current situation. Civilization development strategy is currently good for the world. Because civilization development is not to be ignored of the sustainable development, but it automatically and slowly transform each place or each country at an appropriate time. It's also hard for everyone to completely change behavior from the status quo. Overall, due to the shifted focus of most countries, it is not the adequate time to focus globally on implementing sustainable socio-economic development. Thank you.
All right, great. So we focus the debate on global warming and climate change issues. Okay, so now it's your turn, Kun Freem, to respond to the argument built from the first,
Okay.
the team B. If you're ready, take it away. Don't forget to vote. I already post the vote link into the line group. Again, if you support the topic, please vote for team A. If you against the topic, please vote for team B. And the guys who debating cannot be vote to your team, please. Okay. You guys finish voting? Yes, 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 yes. Good. Okay. If you good, all good. If you're all good, then confirm you can start.
I want to talk about what sustainable socio-economic development could we do instead of the civilization development. First of all, I want to talk about, you said that only two of the country reach the target of reducing gas emission. That is why we need to put more focus on sustainable development. First of all, the development of human civilization leads to urbanization. The United States, the United Nations state that even though urbanization provides new jobs and new opportunity for millions of people, rapid urbanization increased demand of resources, sanitation, as well as public services, education, and healthcare. This drawback of civilization is one of the reasons why we should focus on sustainable development before anything else. And there are much more reasons. According to World Bank, 10% of world population make less than 1.9 US dollars. And the 10% still count as 736 million of people who are living under extreme poverty. More than that, World Forest report that they have declined from 31.6 to 30.6%. Well, since the against team said that the sustainable development did not exist yet, actually it exists, and the number of world forests has slowly declined in recent past years since the initiation of sustainable development, but it is not enough. All the problems mentioned should be addressed before civilization, and even World Health Organization even agreed on that. They said that the COVID-19 pandemic showed that sustainable development goes beyond any national strategies. And the United Nations has a plan of action named Transforming Our World 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, emphasize that the achieving of SDGs require three balancing dimensions of sustainable development, which are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. I want to answer the against team. This is how less developing countries survive. For sustainable economic growth is essential for prosperity. And to make it happen, wealth needs to be shared. And income inequality should be addressed. The economic should be sustainable, innovative, and people-centered. Also promoting youth employment and women economic empowerment. On the other hand, forced labor and child labor should be eradicated. The infrastructure should be universal access, affordable, reliable, and especially resilient, which means that basic service need to be maintained during disaster. For social, physical, mental health, and well-being should be promoted. We must achieve universal health coverage. and access quality healthcare. No one must be left behind. All people must enjoy a basic standard of living, including through social protection system. The resource should be devoted to develop rural areas in developing countries, particularly the least developed countries, to reduce inequality within and among countries. The environment, for the environment, reduce the negative impacts of urban activities and chemical, which hazardous for human, animal, and environment, including safe use of chemicals, the reduction and recycling of waste, and the more efficient use of water and energy, and minimize the impact of city on the global climate system. To summarize, we think that three dimensions of sustainable development, which are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection, should be prioritized and focused on for the further plan of global development. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. Good stuff. Okay, Pater, you ready to somehow respond to the argument?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, very good. Okay, if you're ready, take it away.
Okay, so humanity faced many problems in the past. We faced famine or scarcity of food caused by several factors including war, inflation, crop failure, population imbalance, or government policies. We overcame that. We faced a pandemic, the plague, which killed an estimated of 75 to 200 million people in the 14th century. We also overcame that. Wars were also a major obstacle for human to civilization. We overcame all that. We did all this to become more civilized. We used different strategies to tackle these different problems we've encountered. And the strategies we used gave us what we have today. The truth is, sustainable socio-economic development concept is too optimistic. In reality, the concept cannot be done. We've talked about the Kyoto Protocol, which aims to reduce greenhouse gas emission, and we've seen that it's really hard to be done. If America is clean, do not emit greenhouse gas above the limited amount, there's also still many more countries that are still emitting them into the atmosphere. Another example is the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement aims to bring all nations into a common cause to undertake ambitious efforts to combat climate change and adapt to its effect. The central aim is to strengthen the global response to the threat of climate change by keeping a global temperature rise this century well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature increase even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. Additionally, the agreement aims to strengthen the ability of countries to deal with the impacts of climate change. To reach these ambitious goals, appropriate financial flows and new technology framework and an enhanced capacity building framework will be put in place. However, the majority of the carbon emission reduction pledges for 2030 that 184 countries made under the Paris Agreement are nearly enough to keep the global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius. Some countries won't achieve their pledges, and some of the world's largest carbon emitters will continue to increase their emissions. All these papers signed, but there's still no sign of delaying the global warming or climate change problem. Socioeconomic development, thus, is a process of improvement in a variety of ways. It has to influence all aspects of human life in a country. But do you think the concept of socioeconomic development takes care of all of the aspects of development? Its major indicator, the GDP, is a specific measure of economic welfare that does not take into account important aspects such as leisure times, environmental quality, freedom, social justice, or gender equality. Another indicator is the per capita income, also does not indicate the level of income equality among people. These indicators do not ensure that the benefits of development have been equally distributed and have reached particularly the disadvantaged groups of society. So for your arguments that said the current strategy we use is not sustainable, actually the civilization strategy we use is sustainable in a way, and it's developing and adapting to the current situation as much as possible. And inequality is the main reason not to use the strategy you're trying to propose. Not all countries are equal and never will be. Using the same strategy globally will not succeed and will present unfair advantages to the undeveloped countries. By changing to sustainable development strategy at this time, you are not considering the economy of underdeveloped countries. The proposed strategy may be done in developed countries or countries with the higher economic status. You're talking only about the strategy without looking into how hard the process to do so is right now with the impact of the pandemic. Thank you.
Oh, it's getting hotter. Very good. So the support team is just look at the goal itself without providing house and be nice to the people, right? Then it's the I just post the link to vote for the fourth round for the first sessions in that group line. So if you support the topic, please vote for team A. If you're against the topic, please vote for team B. All right. Okay. If you guys done voting, now is the concluder of each team to conclude the whole things. Pat, are you ready? No?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, that's good. So if you're ready and you guys finished voting already? Yes? Okay. So if you're ready, Pat, please take it away.
The opposing team has been constantly saying that it's not the right time to change because of this and because of that, or that it's impossible. I say that it's not impossible. And when would you say it's the time to change? I say that it's now, and I'll prove you why. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to summarize this debate on behalf of my side. I will be wrapping up nicely in why it is time to change civilization development globally and focus on sustainable socio-economic development and why it has to be solved now. Before going into detail about why it is time to change, I would like to recap the concept of socio-economic sustainability. The term sustainability could be described as the ability to maintain a decent standard of living without causing damage to the environment. Sustainability could thus be understood as the qualities of human well-being, social equity, and environmental integrity. In other words, it could be viewed as the goal of human ecosystem equilibrium. Next, socio-economic sustainability includes two sustainability pillars, which is social and economical. Hence, first of all, it is crucial to understand them. Social sustainability refers to the improvement of living conditions for both current and future generations. Economic sustainability could be defined as the ability of the economy to support and maintain economic growth, but at the same time, it requires that natural resources be used efficiently. Hence, socioeconomic sustainability could be understood as the ability to ensure economic growth without undermining humans' interests and to meet their needs without harming nature. To answer your question, you can do civilization development, however, you should make it more sustainable. And that means sustainable socioeconomic development. After knowing the definition behind each term, you should now probably have a good idea on why it is time to change. However, if you still can't see the picture, please carefully listen to the following points I will be stating. Firstly, as my teammates have stated in the previous rounds, we have researched and found out that continuing the normal way of civilization development without thinking about the consequences could cause very serious damages to the social, economic, and environmental sectors. For the environment sector, we could already see the damages, which could be seen ice melting worldwide, rise in sea levels, which could be seen rising up to 3.2 millimeters a year, rising temperatures are affecting wildlife and habitats, and precipitation, rainfall and snowfall has increased across the globe on average. Yet some regions are experiencing more severe drought, increasing the risk of wildfires, lost crops, and drinking water shortages. For the social sector, the traditional civilization development could be seen completely ignoring particular groups of people, which is unacceptable. As humans, we should be looking out for each other, helping others in need, and not just selfishly improving life for a certain group of people and ignoring what hardships others are facing. Lastly, the economic sector. The current civilization development could be seen affecting not just the environment sector, but also the social sector. For example, nowadays there is so much use of petrol cars that there has been a significant increase in air pollution. From the statistics, in 2018, greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation account for 28.2% of the US greenhouse gas emissions. As many know, there are also
This also led to social problems of healthcare because the fine dust from air pollution could cause an increase in the risk of heart and respiratory diseases as well as lung cancer. Hearing all of this, don't you think it's time to change? Don't you want to see your son, daughter, or grandkids having a good life and not having to worry about these problems? If your answer is yes, I would like to say thank you on behalf of many people in the world that are fighting for their rights and also on behalf of our future generations. However, if your answer is no, I do respect your opinion, but please at least have some humanity towards other fellow lives on the planet. that may that may not be as fortunate as you are. In conclusion, if we decide to change now from the existing civilization development to be more sustainable, these problems will slowly become diminished. Therefore, people will have more equal opportunities and ultimately making the world a better place to live. Before officially closing my statement, I would like to leave you with this quote from Antoine de Saint, which is, "The time for action is now. It's never too late to do something, and it's never impossible." Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Are you okay now? Okay, right. I guess no one would say no to you. No? All right. So Dev, the hard job is yours now. All right. If you're ready, just take it. Oh, okay. Take it away, please. Sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so as you all have heard our argument responses, so let me summarize it up for you. So firstly, socioeconomic development is a process of social and economic development in a society. It is measured with indicators, 12 to be precise, that covers economic and social sustainability. Some examples of it are GDP, life expectancy, literacy, and levels in employment. There are numerous problems as well, such as wealth inequality and poverty, that countries have to tackle in order to progress towards sustainable socio-economic development. Moreover, human resource development, social welfare, national resource technology are all essential to achieve sustainable socio-economic growth. All these things take time, and we agree that it needs to be done. The future that we all are agreeing and we never argued, that is leading towards, the world is leading towards sustainable socio-economic development. But however, the topic at hand, that it is not yet time, and we believe it is not yet time to move towards that. It is necessary to change the civilization deployment strategy. However, implementing a change like this should be in the right timing. And currently, as we all know, the current world situation, ridden with the COVID pandemic, is just enough proof that now is definitely not the time. Bad timing of the shift to sustainable socio-economic development can be costly and affect many peoples and countries. Many countries are right now devoting their resources and budget to control the COVID-19 pandemic. So isn't it better for countries to focus on controlling the pandemic first, then shift their focus for sustainable growth? Now, you all can argue that countries can focus on both sustainable development and controlling the pandemic. Well, of course, that may be true for many countries, which are already ahead in terms of innovation and progress of sustainable development. However, even countries like, you can see, United States are finding it hard to control the spread of pandemic. So what about the other countries which are still developing or underdeveloped? They have few resources, funding, and are currently overwhelmed in their desperate efforts to control. Is it fair for developed countries to plan and implement the sustainable socio-economic development and involve the developing underdeveloped countries at this time? There are many examples that my team has presented of protocol agreements that have been signed for the purpose of sustainable development. However, they did not go as planned. And this all happens because not all countries are at the same level of development. The United Nations officially recognizes 47 countries to be least developed. But we must take into account the huge number of countries that are still developing. Taking into account the current situation and how overwhelmed most countries are, it helps justify our point. So in conclusion, the current world situation is not the time to focus on sustainable socio-economic development globally, which is the topic at hand. And we hope that the arguments that we have presented today help justify and help you all agree with our point. Thank you.
All right. Okay, good. Good close for both teams. Again, I just recently sent the link to the group line. If you are still support the topic, please vote for team A. If you like the employee style or good Pat style pitching, speaking like machine gun, so please vote for team A. If you like the cool styles and I don't know what it is, but Sudef, if you like Sudef and team, please vote for team B. If you against the topic, all right? Good. Okay. I think the guys at the back is super sleepy now. Great. Let's take one more photo. Big smile. Okay, thank you very much. Big hand for your friends. Thank you. It's a good start, right? I mean, the fact that you can't really avoid, how to, you can't really, you can't go against sustainable development, right? You can't. It's a super advantage of your team. But I think the dev team did a pretty good job. It's a hard job for them to go against sustainable development. Not really against, but but I think the Sudev team also got a good point. Time of adaptation change. Need time, so you can't really do it radically. All right. Okay. For the second debate of today, we do have a topic of economic growth is one of the most impactful causes of climate change. It has been a controversial topic since I think 1990s. That if you want the country to be, if you want the GDP to rise like that, then the climate change and all temperatures and bad things will go up like that too. So we have uh, a support team that you guys agree on the bad of, like, if you want the increase of GDP, then what happened? The world is going to be bad, right? And you don't support.
We are against
You're against it. Why?
because
I have to listen to your debate. Okay, good answer. All right. So what we have here is we have Miss Pakamon, Miss Lavikan, Miss Chananya, and Miss Tanyaras as a support team or team A. And we also have Mr. Thanate, Mr. Napatsakon, Alex, and Miss Matawan as an against team. All right. I think this topic is gonna be fun. I hope you guys prepare a lot for this debate. Okay. For the audience, if you're ready, I'm about to send you the first link of to vote in the first round of this section 2. Okay. Oops. Fuck. Okay. I just sent the whole link. Okay. So if the audience ready, please do vote for the first round of the section 2.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today, our team will be arguing that economic growth is one of the most impactful causes of climate change. We, the affirmative team, believe that the statement is true. To make sure that everyone is on the same page, I would like to begin by defining the terms regarding the topic. Let's first start with the term economic growth. According to Investopedia.com, economic growth is defined as an increase in the production of economic goods and services compared from one period of time to another. Traditionally, economic growth is measured in terms of gross domestic product, or GDP. Climate change, defined by Oxford's languages, is a change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular a change apparent from the mid to late 20th century onwards and attributed largely to the increased level of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. Therefore, the topics mean that an increase in the production of economic output that requires the consumption of fossil fuel can lead to an increase in the levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide, which result in the change in global climate patterns. Today, as a first speaker, I will be talking about what causes climate change and how economic growth contributes to climate change in general. Our second speaker will be presenting the causes of climate change relating to human activity since the Industrial Revolution. Our third speaker will be pointing out how components of economic growth links to human activity and result in climate change. And lastly, our fourth speaker will rebut and sum up the points presented by our team, as well as mentioning some of the actual facts that humans are responsible for. Climate change is linked to the greenhouse effect from the emission of greenhouse gases from non-renewable energy consumption in the atmosphere. greenhouse gases trap the sun's heat and stop it from leaking back into space, causing an increase in global temperature. The Earth's average surface temperature has been rising about 1.14 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century. Scientists agree that a change is driven predominantly by increased carbon dioxide and other human-made emissions into the atmosphere. Most of it is extremely likely, greater than 95% probability, to be the result of human activity, stated by NASA. Greenhouse gas is a gas that absorbs and emits radiant energy within the thermal infrared range. The primary greenhouse gases in Earth's atmosphere are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. Carbon dioxide is the greenhouse gas most commonly produced by human activity, and it is responsible for 64% of man-made global warming. The concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is currently 40% higher than it was when industrialization began, according to European Commission. As for economic growth, according to Investopedia, several components are commonly required for growth to be generated. These components include increase in the amount of physical capital goods, technological improvement, human capital, and growth of the labor force. Generally speaking, increasing the quantity or quality of the working age population, the tools that they have to work with, and the recipe that they have available to combine labor, capital, and raw material will lead to increase in economic growth and economic output. These components of economic growth involve human activities, whether it is extraction of raw material, production of goods and services, use of technological tools, or transportation of goods. And these human activities require energy, which is derived from the burning of fossil fuel, the largest source of carbon dioxide emission. Some other activities relating to production of goods and services that contribute to the production of greenhouse gases include increasing livestock farming, which produce large amounts of methane, cutting down carbon-absorbing forests, and use of fertilizers containing nitrogen, which produce nitrous oxide emissions. A real scenario of this can be seen in China. China is one of the countries with the fastest growing economy in the world. Despite that, China ranked number one in the country that polluted the world the most, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists. In 2018, China's total carbon dioxide emission account for 28% of the world total carbon dioxide emission. China's economic growth has mainly powered by coal, which constitute an average of 69.9% of the country's energy consumption between 1985 and 2016. Burning coal comes at a steep environmental cost, as it produces up to twice the amount of carbon dioxide as other fossil fuels. The industrial sector is China's primary coal consumer. Manufacturing, agriculture, mining, and construction collectively made up 62.5% of China's energy use and 49% of China's coal use in 2017. Notably, this does not include power production activities, which were responsible for 46.5% of coal consumption. For this reason, we believe that economic growth is environmentally unsustainable, and there should be a measure to stop economic growth from worsening the situation of climate change.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Lemon, if you can speak a little bit slowly, breathe sometime when you talk, and then I think the audience will probably get. Huh?
Can you give me more than 5 minutes then?
Okay, 5. No, cannot. Sorry. Okay, but thank you for the support team. It's great agreement that you start. So, Lemon, if you're ready, please take it away.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and adjudicators. My name is Napasakon Saiheng, and my team will be opposing today's motion. The economic growth is one of the most impactful causes of climate change. I will be speaking first as the leader of opposition. Firstly, I will be expanding the definitions offered by the leader of opposition. I would like to expand on your definition so as to clarify the true meaning of the economic growth. Fortunately, we both using the same sources of the definition, but however, according to your definition, economic growth only refers to the increase in GDP. It can be used to measure anything else, such as the benefit economic growth creates or how sources are allocated. So this is lead to our first argument, which challenged the stance of the motions. Economic growth isn't about exponentially consuming more resources, but rather about creating more value. Our argument will operate under the statement, a high output doesn't need a high input. To provide context to this statement, I would like to list an example of trend gradually being adopted by multiple industries, the recycling and upcycling firms that use the output from the other businesses as their input, reducing wastage in their operation and creating value. To quote an article provided by feco.com, as reusing materials become a necessity rather than a nicety, the importance of turning waste into the value-add product will become increasingly vital to our economy and our lifestyles. Well-established companies such as Intel, Accenture, Estée Lauder, Texas Instruments, and Eaton have already taken the initiative to recycle more than 85% of their waste through sustainable business practices. For example, that us students may be able to relate to the more inclusive and TU shirt who upcycle plastic into the fabric, or even the Adidas that upcycle plastic bottle into the footwear. To further look into the trend in reusing materials, an important statistic to consider in the recycle rate of many European countries, such as Austria and Germany, which are 53.8 and 56.1% respectively, provided by nspackaging.com. This may be credited to their implementation of successful recycling programs their respective governments are encouraging businesses to adopt, such as the Green Dot system. Furthermore, there has also been an upgrading trend of sustainable energy companies looking into using renewable sources at the input. For example, the solar power. The market of solar energy in Thailand is expected to grow at a rate of 9.14% during the forecast period of 2019 to 2024, credited to modelintelligence.com. The announcement of the new solar development plan by the Thai Energy Policy and Planning Office in 2017 also aims to increase participation from private firms to increase the significant opportunities for growth with effectively generate value in terms of the input potentials. The mass industrial participation, such as the integration of solar energy in Thailand, also created technological value in terms of process innovation. Advances in technology have also made increasing productivity and reducing waste more feasible, creating more units of output per unit of input in the process. With the introduction of new technology, firms can expect to create process value to the computer integrated manufacturer or CIM, which use technology to assist in design and production, improving manufacturer efficiency as well as the effectiveness without incurring any human error or additional cost of human dues such as the training. That concludes my argument. I will be followed by the deputy leader of the opposition who will agree the two following statements. The market failure is the real causes of the climate change, as well as the economic growth drive the sustainable technology. Leading to our opposition will, who will identify the winners of today's crash point. Then to conclude, our reply speaker will justify our victory to a conclusion analysis. Thank you.
All right, that's great. Good introduction from both introducer teams. Just give 1 second. Let me just post the link to vote for the second round. Okay. No, sorry, not okay. Okay. The link has been posted in the group line. So if you support the argument, if you agree that economic growth has play an important role to cause a climate change problem in the world, please vote for Team A. If you're against it, vote for Team B. Nice. All right. If you guys finish voting, if you're ready, Miss Ravikan, you can start for the second round. Go ahead. It's okay. Take your time. Take your time. It's okay. Kunmat, are you ready? Yes. Alex, are you ready? Yes. Hi, are you ready? You guys have to wait because okay. There been some coaching and mentoring from the support team. All right. Don't forget to speak slowly a bit, and then take a deep breath. make sure you engage to your audience and allow audience to somehow digest the huge, massive information you're trying to communicate to them. All right. Okay, Kun Lavikan, if you're ready, please take it away.
First of all, as mentioned by the speaker of the opponent team, that
It's okay. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Could you please probably like give Miss Lavikan a big round of applause just to cheer her up? Come on, you can do it. It's okay.
um, there has been sorry again.
It's okay. It's okay.
To begin with, I would like to go through our world history and evidence of how human activities influenced by economic growth directly contribute to climate change.
Great.
According to National Science Foundation ice core facility, where they measure the amount of carbon dioxide in the past via ice cores, for thousands of years, the level of atmospheric carbon dioxide had never peaked above 300 parts per million before, until in recent decades, after the Little Ice Age, which ended since the mid-19th century. Ice cores drawn from tropical mountain glaciers show that Earth's climate responds to changes in greenhouse gas levels. The evidence from NASA reveals that current warming is occurring roughly 10 times faster than the average rate of ice age recovery warming, and that carbon dioxide from human activities is increasing more than 250 times faster than it did from natural sources after the last ice age. So what, when, and where are these human activities that are the causes of rapid rise in carbon dioxide? It started from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in the early 1800s. The Industrial Revolution marked a period of economic development that transformed largely rural agrarian societies in Europe and America into industrialized urban ones. In this period was when Britain's economy were transformed and moved to a mass industrialization, new machines, new power sources, and new ways of organizing work. These technological changes made possible a tremendously increase in use of natural resources and the mass production of manufactured goods. As a result, the city is covered in pollutants and greenhouse gases emitted by the use of machines, steam engines, burning of coals, and other fossil fuels. And not long after, the Second Industrial Revolution began. It was a phase of rapid standardization and industrialization from the late 19th century into early 20th century. Undoubtedly, there was an economy and productivity boom in many industrialized countries, for instance, the US. Moreover, due to this massive development of the transport and introduction of public automobiles and airplanes in this period, globalization increasingly came to light and built up our present global economy. According to World Health Organization, globalization means the increase in interconnectedness and interdependence of people and countries. Consequently, globalization further promotes economic growth and industrial productivity, which certainly then results in even further environmental consequences. For example, depletion of natural resources, deforestation, and the destruction of ecosystems. These consequences are all causes of global warming or climate change, not just in few countries but on a global scale. According to OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, multinational companies such as Apple, Nike, Nestle, and their supply chains in this 21st century contribute nearly 30% to global GDP, and so are responsible for almost 20% of carbon dioxide emission. In other words, multinationals are responsible for nearly a fifth of the planet's carbon dioxide emissions. It is undeniable that the timeline of industrial revolution, along with the increase of globalization and exponential rise in carbon dioxide, began in the same period. The correlation between them is so strong, it clearly suggests and shows us that human activities that led to economic growth are one of the most impactful causes of climate change. Right now, according to United Nations website, the world produces as much as 50 million tons of electronic and electrical waste or e-waste a year, weighing more than all of the commercial airlines ever made. Only 20% of this formally recycled. Just only in America, even though e-waste has only 2% in landfill, but it's equal 70% of overall toxic waste reported by U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good Matt, are you ready? If you're ready, take it away, please.
I am Mathawan Supapimon and as the deputy leader of opposition, I will be arguing the statement market failure is the real cause of climate change and economic growth drives sustainable technology. As Napasakorn has mentioned, more output doesn't mean more input. Furthermore, the trend of replacing fossil fuel with renewable energy sources prove that the world is not the same as 200 years ago. You only consider the negative externality technological advance look over the fact that technological revolution can also drive sustainable development, as I will further explain. However, we will say that the real cause of climate change is the market failure, not the economic growth. Market failure is the economic situation defined by an inefficient distribution of goods and services in a free market. When social costs exceed social benefit, the allocation of resources is said to be uneconomical. This can be a result of exploitation of natural resources, which can be illegal, originating from cases of corruption and a general disregard for environmental democracy laws in many locations such as Malaysia and Cambodia, which has trend index of 0.76 and 0.58 respectively, as opposed to UK 2.14. Another good example of how the allocation of resources is the main contributing factor to climate change can be drawn from the past, when businesses gain money from inventing new technology and using those innovations to create new products or services for both new and existing markets. However, today, almost everything is already under the sun, where most businesses focus on fixing the problems created by the previous generation. It is an economic based on rehabilitation, not creation. Basically, we are fixing problems to make money. Many startups are now focused on being sustainable and optimizing the value of their input, where this is also another contribution to the economic growth, which suggests that economic growth isn't always the indicator of high environmental impact. Also, there is an evidence of economic growth that drives sustainable technology. As mentioned earlier, many startups are now focusing on sustainable development and sustainable business model. Higher income enable people and business to purchase items with lower environmental impact, since most of these technologies are still expensive. For an example, electric vehicle, over the entire life cycle, the CO2 emission of a fully electric car are around 35 lower than those of petrol fuel vehicle. The relatively higher emission associated with production of an electric car and its battery are more than compensate during the use phase. As the economy grows, more industry will be able to afford greener technology from other more developed countries, especially for renewable energy. This is seen as a general trend where more and more businesses start to invest in green technology as they expand. Furthermore, economic growth will also introduce many new sustainable infrastructure to the city, including smart mobility, which reduce carbon emission for this logistics. smart grids, increasing energy efficiency, and much more. Thank you.
Alright. Okay, I'm about to post the third voting round of the second debating session into your group line. If you guys ready, please do vote. If you support the topic, please vote for team A. If you're against the topic, please vote for team B. Don't forget every vote counts as your attendance, so please vote in every section and every round. Okay, if you're ready, if you're done voting, okay, good. So the support team, Kun Pang, are you ready? Yes, if you're ready, take it away.
Before I argue the claim that the con side made, let me explain furthermore on the claims that we have made. So to better see the picture of how climate change is one of the biggest problems that the world is facing, I will take a few seconds to better clarify. As my teammates have said, on Earth, human activities are changing the natural greenhouse. More CO2 emission is being released through economic growth. Over the last century, the burning of fossil fuels like coal and oil has increased the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide. This happens because the coal or oil burning process combines carbon with oxygen in the air to make CO2. To a lesser extent, the clearing of land for agriculture, industry, and other human activities have increased concentrations of greenhouse gases. Since 1940, the global temperature has continued to drastically increase. From the statistics in climate.gov, from around negative zero point 0.4 Celsius of global temperature anomaly to currently reaching zero point 0.9 Celsius. It might seem to be a small increase in temperature, but it means a significant increase in accumulated heat. That extra heat is driving regional and seasonal temperature extremes, reducing snow cover and sea ice, intensifying heavy rainfall and changing habitat ranges from plants and animals. Year 2019, last year, marked the warmest year in the world's history because the world records 1.15 Celsius above pre-industrial average. And the temperature will continue to increase. Another reason to state our claim on climate change is that currently there are many more land usage because of economic growth. Economic growth causes the world's average temperature to increase, which is because economic growth comes with an amount of free land. Almost all the time, when companies want to build factories, they build on land, which causes to cut down tree forests to create empty land for their company. And from this reason, the smoke and pollution from this action causes climate change and the increase of climate. At the landscape scale, changes in land cover patterns can directly impact energy and mass fluxes. For example, when large areas of forest are cleared, reduced transpiration results in less cloud formation, less rainfall, and increase in drying. The major drivers of land use changes are human population, affluence, technology, political structure, attitudes, and values. The importance of these factors varies with the situation and the spatial scale of analyze. Human population growth can be considered an ultimate cause for most land use changes. Because of this, there are effects that follows the statement. When there are more population increase, the more building, companies, factories increase. I am not stating that improving the country is bad, but I am stating that because of this, more temperature rises and those areas and effects that affects the climate changes. Further temperature rises will have a devastating impact and more action on greenhouse gases emission is urgently required. Population and climate change are intrinsically linked. Every additional person increases carbon emission,
The effects of global warming are already bringing harm to human communities and the natural world. So yes, I strongly state that the economic change is one of the most impactful causes of climate change. As what the opponent has said about having new startups that are creating to help the economy and the climate, I agree that a lot of startups in the current world is trying to help and reduce climate change, but it does not mean that these companies does not create climate change along the way. And also, for example, you might have heard of carbon credit, but our claim on carbon credit is carbon offset credits are far from perfect, and it is actually can be viewed as harmful because it does not actually replace the amount of carbon dioxide emission that is being released to the world. And also in Thailand, especially in Thailand, it is not popular, and we are not actually there is no law that actually supports the carbon credit being used. So thank you.
Good. So does SOPET create any carbon emissions?
Of course not.
Okay, that's a lie. That's not true. Okay, great. Hi, are you ready? Okay, please take it away.
I am Tanatek Vidavipan, and as the opposition whip, I will be identifying today's clash point and summarizing teams' opposition cases. First, you argue that human activity have a big impact on climate change. However, I would like to clarify that human activity is not the same as economic growth. As mentioned earlier by Nafasakan, economic growth isn't about the allocation of resources, but rather just an increase in GDP, which is the gross domestic product, or the increase in output of an economy. Furthermore, it is almost like your argument is aligning with us, therefore going against your own goal of supporting the statement economic growth is the most impactful cause of climate change. In addition, I would also like to further clarify that by throwing out statistic and correlation without any supporting logic, it doesn't give us any insight on how economic growth can directly have an impact on climate change. Correlation doesn't always imply causation. For example, on a hot day where the sun is super bright, the sale for ice cream might increase and the rate for getting sunburn is also increased. But this doesn't mean that eating ice cream will give you sunburn. In this case, you say that there is a correlation between economic growth and climate change without giving any supporting argument or logical proof. So just like the ice cream and sunburn situation, this does not validate the causation at all. Increase in population and human activity can lead to higher productivity and increased output, therefore increasing economic growth. At the same time, due to lack of awareness, exploitation of resources and corruption, there will be misallocation of resources for personal or organizational benefit, which has a high impact on climate change. So I would like to emphasize again on our first and second arguments. First, economic growth is not directly proportional to the usage of natural resources nor the amount of waste produced. Where the real life cases and logical proof for this argument is already mentioned earlier by Nafasakan. Second, exploitation of resources and corruption, which are the main factors of misallocation of resources, has a big impact on climate change. It's not about how much you are producing, but about the process implemented, people behaviors, and awareness toward climate change. For example, you might think an increase in consumption leads to increase in use of plastic bag. When plastic bag is the elephant in the room here, you talked about how people buy more stuff, but you forget to think about how people buy stuff. As you can see, the recent trend of banning one-use plastic has nothing to do with the economic growth, but it drastically reduces the level of environmental impact of our daily consumption. Therefore, if this issue can be dealt with easily by introducing new policies and raising awareness, is economic growth really the real cause here? To further expand on this point, I would like to point out that human behavior and perception can change. It's up to us whether climate change will be our main concern or not. Unethical and uneconomical allocation of resources is the root cause why human activity has such a high impact on the environmental, not economic growth. And you also argue that uh, there is technological disruption and correlation between the industrial uh, changes in technology. There are many disruptions from the technological changes, such as the industrial revolution. And this is already clarified by Matawan that you cannot be used old statistic from 200 years ago to support because the world is changing, and as you can see, there are many rising green technologies. I would like to leave you guys with an interesting situation. Would you prefer a low growth business with not so many technologies using single-use plastic bag and driving old car with high pollution, or a successful startup company with high growth and lots of investors focusing on sustainable technology which have potential to save the world? In mathematical terms, you can think of economic growth as a magnitude and allocation of resources as the vector. What's really important here is the direction you're moving to, not how far you move. Thank you.
Right, great. Okay, just post the link for vote in the fourth round of this session to the group line. So if you support the topic, please vote for team A. If you're against the topic, please vote for team B. Okay, it's come now to the last person of the team and the conclusion of the sessions. All right, if you guys finish voting, Miss Tanyarot, are you ready? Okay, maybe not. Alex, are you ready? You want to go first? No? Oh, we can't. I'm just asking you. Okay, Miss Tanyarot, are you ready? Okay, if you're ready, take it away now.
Okay, I would like to say, how dare you? Why does your side believe that economic growth isn't one of the most impactful causes of the climate change? You think that your argument on this and that are enough to qualify your statement? You believe made a civilian kid, 17 years old kid, traveling over the sea to give her speed on the climate change, to have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degrees of global temperature rise. The best offer given by the Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change. The world has only 420 gigatons of the CO2 left to emit back on Jan 1st, 2018. Today, that figure out is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved by just a business as usual and some technical solution, like a startup thing? With today emission level, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8 years, 8.5 years, stated by the Greta Thunberg, the youngest Sweden environmental activist. From the last time of the opposite side, I stand here to summarize why we, the government side, have clearly won the debate. The main and the most important class in this debate is this House supported the statement that economic growth is one of the most impactful causes of the climate change. The main reason that cause of the climate change in economic growth is CO2. It making the greenhouse gas. There are many statistics that has been published by the NASA Climate since the Industrial Revolution. They reveal the evidence that currently warming is occurring roughly 10 times faster, and carbon dioxide from the human activity is increased more than 250 times faster than it did from the natural resource. Right now, the concentration of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is currently 40% higher than it was when the industrial began. On the other hand, another reason that increased the CO2, according to the Geological Society of America, is the land use. When people want the land, they cut out the forest, tree to create empty land. Do they stop? Do they stop?
Another support reason is the human population growth. The more people aren't aware and take no action on this, the more disaster will come. Did you know how many deaths that happen from the climate change? According to World Health Organization, in the heat wave of the summer 2003 in the Europe, can you remember that? More than 70,000 excess deaths were recorded. We haven't talked about other disasters yet. Because of the climate change, it makes unexpected variable rainfall patterns, which affect the supply of the fresh water. A lack of the safe water can compromise the hygiene and also they increase the risk of the diarrhea disease, which kill over 500,000 children under age of the 5 years old every year. In the extreme cases, water scarcity leads to drought and famine. By the late of 21st century, climate change is likely to increase the frequency and the intensities of droughts at regional and the global scale. This was approved by the World Health Organization. And today, there are 189 countries who joined the Paris Agreement, the agreement that includes the commitment from all the countries to reduce the emissions as well as with reduce impact of the climate change. How dare your team believe that economic growth isn't the main reason that caused climate change? Lastly, I would like to say, right here, right now, the world is waking up. The climate change is still happening, and the part of that is rising up. Whether you like it or not. Thank you.
Yes, right here, right now.
Oh my God.
Okay, very good. Whether you like it or not, we're going to move to the against team. Alex, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, if you're ready, take it away.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman Ronnie and respectable opponents. My name is Alex Appleby, and as the reply speaker, I will be presenting a conclusive statement stating the reasons why Team Opposition deserves the victory. Current status quo indicates that the majority of businesses in our economy value profit over any other objective, especially sustainable practices and environmental preservation. This status quo must be broken, and it is the inherent right of our generation to destroy it. As the future inheritors of this earth, it is our blood-given duty to understand the severity of our situation. Our world is effectively in crisis, and the status quo is pointing all fingers to economic growth as the cancer, the catalyst that is enabling the destruction of our world. Team Opposition sees things differently. Economic growth isn't the problem, it's the answer. And in this debate, Team Opposition has done nothing but offer arguments in support of this standpoint. Our honorable leader of opposition, Nabatsukon Seheng, has offered an insightful examination of trends that have been the catalyzing factor of the transition to sustainable economic growth, proving that not only is our objective theoretically feasible, but it's already being implemented in firms all around us, both domestically and internationally. Our respectable deputy leader of opposition, Marwan, not only disproved economic growth as the driving factor of climate change, but pointed the finger to market failure and the misallocation of resources, a precedent set in place by our predecessors. In addition to this, she offered examples of how firms can implement solutions by introducing the cycle of economic growth, developing sustainable technology, which in turn further enriches the sustainability rates of our global economy. Our analytical opposition whip, Tanatep, identified and successfully disputed clash points as well as weaknesses, contradictions, and inconsistencies in every nook and cranny of team proposition arguments with regards to arguments concerning feasibility and the true definitions of economic growth, accompanied by realistic scenarios that I personally believe everyone found quite relatable. My teammates aren't the enemy for challenging the rules set in place by our past generations. We're the representatives of a people who were born into a lifelong commitment we didn't ask for, and the key to fulfilling our birthright lives within the heart of our economy, the electric drive our team is instilling within the hearts of our youth. Team Opposition believes that the engine of change lies within the transition to sustainable economic growth. The dream that Team Opposition is relentlessly bombarded with pessimism that dismisses the very driving factor of the human race, determination and perseverance. Throughout the entire lifespan of the human race, we've had one main objective, to survive. But it was the very actions of our predecessors that have induced what may very well be the final frontier humanity will ever face, the self-inflicted crisis of climate change. My name is Alex Appleby, and I am a representative of not only Team Opposition, but Team Proposition, and every single person in this room when I say that I believe in humanity's ability to survive. And the solution, as well as the victory, is already in our hands. Sustainable economic growth is not only feasible, but the only solution our generation has left. Thank you.
Alright. Okay. Strong finish. Very good. Okay. So I just recently posted the final link to the for the vote for this session. So if you guys ready, again, if you supported the topic, please vote for team A right here. If you against the topic, please vote for team B. It's fun, yeah? You guys did a good job. Let's take photo. All right, cheers. Nice. Okay. We're gonna applaud to your team A and B. All right. We will take 10 minutes break now, and please come back for the third session of the debate, which we're gonna have the topic of renewable energy can actually save the climate change problem, and we should invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel energy. All right. If you guys 10 minutes break. Thank you so much. Welcome back to the debate session, the second debate section of the third one today. Um, the third topic will be renewable energy can actually save the climate change problem. So we will carry on from the previous topics, and we should invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel energy. This is the big claim, all right? Whether we can focus solely on renewable energy or we should do it as a peak load replacement only. For the supporting team, we have Mr. Bira, Baila มันตกลงเองชื่ออะไรวะ Baila บิลาบิลาชื่อ
Pira ครับ
บิ
Pira ครับ
พีระ Okay. Why don't you use PWPRA? Okay. Mr. Pira, Miss Premika, Miss Warapon, and Miss Prim. For the against team, we have Emily, Akaramani, Jidapha, and Tristavan as the first member of the team. All right. I'm sending you a first link to vote. If you support the topic, please. No, you can't. You can't vote for yourself. Or you can't vote against yourself, your team. You cannot. Okay. Just give me a moment. Give me a moment. Okay, just post the link to the group line. If you're ready to vote, please do vote now. If you support the topic, please vote for Team A. And if you're against the topic, please vote for Team B.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Bira Songsang. Today, I will begin this energy debate on the topic of whether renewable energy can save the climate change problem and that we should invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuels. Now to start, the energy debate has been a topic within the energy industry for a long time now. Since the Industrial Revolution, most countries' energy mix has become dominated by fossil fuels. This energy mix domination has significant implications for the global climate, as well as for human health. 3/4 of global greenhouse gas emissions result from the burning of fossil fuels for energy. Moreover, fossil fuels are responsible for large amounts of local air pollution, a health problem that leads to at least 5 million premature deaths each year. To reduce CO2 emissions and local air pollution, the world needs to rapidly shift towards low-carbon energy sources, nuclear and renewable technologies. So, what do we consider renewable energy? Let us first give a definition. According to the International Energy Agency, renewable energy is derived from natural processes that are replenished constantly. In its various forms, it derives directly from the sun or from heat generated deep within the earth. Included in the definition is electricity and heat generated from solar, wind, ocean, hydropower, biomass, geothermal resources, biofuels, and hydrogen derived from renewable sources. Now let us talk about non-renewable sources. Why do they affect climate change so much? Fossil fuels are formed from the decomposition of buried carbon-based organisms that died millions of years ago. They create carbon-rich deposits that are extracted and burned for energy. They are also used to make plastic, steel, and a vast range of products. There are 3 types of fossil fuels: coal, oil, and gas. When fossil fuels are burned, they release large amounts of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, into the air. Greenhouse gases trap heat in our atmosphere, causing global warming. Already, the average global temperature has increased by 1 degree Celsius. Warming above 1.5 degrees Celsius risks further sea level rise, extreme weather, biodiversity loss, and species extinction, as well as for food scarcity, worsening health, and poverty for millions of people worldwide. According to NASA, models predict that Earth will warm between 2 and 6 degrees Celsius in the next century. When global warming has happened at various times in the past 2 million years, it has taken the planet about 5,000 years to warm 5 degrees. The predicted rate of warming for the next century is at least 20 times faster. This rate of change is extremely unusual. We are overdependent on fossil fuels to heat our homes, run our cars, power our offices, industry, and manufacturing, and respond to our insatiable desire to power all of our electrical goods. Nearly all of the energy needed to meet our demands, 80% of global energy, comes from burning fossil fuels. Fossil fuels cannot replenish fast enough to meet these growing needs at the current global energy demand. Predictions estimate that global energy demand will grow by a third by 2035. Also critical to consider is more than 1.2 billion people worldwide still do not have access to electricity. As the global population continues to grow, predicted to be 9 billion people over the next 50 years, the world's energy demands will increase proportionately. So why should we move on to renewable sources? While renewable energy is often thought of as new technology, harnessing nature's power has long been used for heating, transportation, lighting, and more. Wind has powered boats to sail the seas, and windmills to grind grain. The sun has provided warmth during the day and helped kindle fires to last into the evening. Nevertheless, over the past 500 years or so, humans increasingly turned to cheaper, dirtier energy sources such as coal and natural gas mentioned above. Now that we have increasingly innovative and less expensive ways to capture and retain wind and solar energy, renewables have become more critical power source, accounting for more than 1/8 of the US generation. The expansion in renewables is also happening at scales large and small, from rooftop solar panels on homes that can still power back to the grid to giant offshore wind farms. Even some entire rural communities rely on renewable energy for heating and lighting. All of these statements are for renewable energy change. The fact that we have advancing technological solutions to renewable energy sources will allow the near future to be less dependent on fossil fuels and will enable us to harness more sustainable alternatives for greater efficiency and benefits. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kun Pira. Thank you. Okay, the support against team, be ready. Take it away, please.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tisawan Rapitaksanti. As the negative team, we believe that the statements renewable energy can actually save the climate change problem and we should invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel is false. Today, as the first speaker, I will be talking to you about why renewable energy cannot actually save the climate change fully 100%, and will raise the statements of switching to renewable energy is not as simple as it is being made out to be. We all know that burning fossil fuel creates carbon dioxide, the main greenhouse gas emitter that contributes to global warming. If we continue to pump greenhouse gases into our environment, the average global temperature could increase by 1 to 4 degrees Celsius by 2100. But even if we change today to using more renewable resources instead of fossil fuel, for example, increases could be between 1 to 2.5 degrees Celsius. Thus, renewable energy cannot actually save the climate change problem either. This is because renewable energy does not always equal 100% carbon-free energy. It is due to a limitation on technology, among other challenges. Some of these challenges include the amount of carbon dioxide that is emitted during both the manufacturing of the materials of power grids and the installation of power grid systems, and also the lack of renewable energy storage solution that has led to non-renewable energy needing to be mixed in with clean energy to support the demand of electricity. It is commonly assumed that greenhouse gas and energy problems can be solved by switching from fossil fuel sources of energy to renewables. However, little attention has been given to exploring the limits to renewable energy. Unfortunately, people working on renewable energy technologies tend not to throw critical light on the difficulties and limits. They typically make enthusiastic claims regarding the potential of their specific technologies. The idea of drawing our energy from sources that are renewable, independent of foreign nations, and do not emit greenhouse gases has powerful appeal. But capturing these resources is expensive, and many are intermittent, which complicates using them on a large scale. Furthermore, it takes time and money to change distribution and consumption of energy. meaning we will be dependent on fossil fuels until we can afford this switch. Bringing new renewable energy technologies to market causes problems in regard to cost and convenience, meaning a switch of fossil fuels to renewable energy is not a simple task. Moreover, renewables are essentially uncontrolled supply resources. When when the sun isn't shining, solar panels do not produce energy. When the wind isn't blowing, turbines do not produce either. Diminished conditions, including shading, clouds, and dust for solar and light breezes for wind power, or reduced energy production from renewable assets to levels below the installed capacity. Dispatch of fossil fuel-based power plants, on the other hand, can easily be controlled, ramp up and down as needed, and hence fossil fuel plants offer great reliability that power can be produced when needed. The same is simply not possible with solar and wind power plants. And all of this I mentioned are the supporting statement that why I totally disagree that renewable energy can save the climate change problem and will fully replace fossil fuels. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I just post the voting link to the group line. So if you agree with the topic, please vote for team A. If you disagree, vote for team B. You can vote now. So we're getting to the body of the discussions. Energy security, the availability of the renewable energies compared to the routine needs of the people. So which one is more important? If you finish voting, then we probably can let the beatbox girls to start. Please be careful because your friend needs to use the microphone too. Okay. If you're ready, Kun Mil, take it away.
Okay. Good morning. I am Warapon Thirapatarapong. Huh? Hello. Okay, sorry. Following up on the against scheme, I see what you mean that renewable energy cannot save climate change fully 100%, but that's not the whole story. Do you know how significant the impact of fossil fuel on climate change and on our planet is? The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has found that fossil fuel emissions are the dominant cause of global warming. In 2018, 89% of global carbon dioxide emission came from fossil fuel and industry. There are mainly three non-renewable resources that use in industry. First, coal is the dirtiest of all and responsible for over 30% increase in global average temperatures. Second, burning oil releases tremendous amount of carbon, approximately a third of the world total carbon emission. There have been also several oil spills recent year that have impact on our ocean ecosystem. Lastly, natural gas is often promoted as a cleaner energy source than coal and oil. However, it is still a fossil fuel and account for a fifth of the world total carbon emission. We must keep in mind that non-renewable energy resources have been harming our planet for thousands of years, slowly destroying the environment. Fossil fuels are not renewable. They cannot be made again. Once they are gone, they are gone. Human activity is overloading our atmosphere with carbon dioxide and emission. These gases act like a blanket, trapping heat. The result is a web harmful impact. It's a fact that there is no shortage of renewable energy. The key is to mix of sources spread over the wide area: solar and wind power, biomass, and geothermal source. The sunlight in one day contains more than twice the energy we consume in an entire year. The opposing team mentioned that clean energy is uncontrollable, but that statement is not true. Clean energy is controllable. Clean energy source can be harnessed, produce electricity, process heat, fuel, and valuable chemicals with less impact on environment. Intelligent technologies energy use pattern provide flexible power that follow demand through a day. Use better storage options and group producers together to form virtual power plants. With all these solutions, we can secure the renewable energy future needed. Continued research has made renewable energy more affordable today than 25 years ago. the cost of wind energy is declined from 40 cents per kilowatt hour to less than 5 cents. Moreover, the cost of electricity from sunlight has dropped from more than $1 per kilowatt hour in 1980 to nearly 20 cents today. By 2050, almost all global energy need can be met with new renewable energy share, 41% by 2030 and 82% by 2050. The global electricity supply, the energy used in building and the industry would come from renewable energy sources. Already, many countries throughout the world are committing to a future that will be powered by renewable energy. For example, Germany currently generating 25% of its electricity from renewable and is aiming for 80% by 2050. Also, Denmark aims to produce 100% of its heat and power renewable energy by 2035 and all energy by 2050. Emerging economies do not need to go down a path of relying on fossil fuel. Many developing countries have been taking advantage of benefits of renewable energy and recognized for long-term benefits. For example, Uganda, less than 15% of 38 million people have access to electricity. The majority of population is dependent on kerosene and charcoal for their energy and light, both of which are expensive and environmentally damaging. Nevertheless, the population is embarrassing the potential for clean energy alternative being promoted within the country. That's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, Moji, if you're ready to go against the support team, please
Yes.
take it away.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dida Pasatia. As a second affirmative speaker raised the question, do we know how significant the impact of fossil fuel on climate change on our planet is? Yes, we know. We understand that point. But even if we use more renewable resources instead of fossil fuel, it could be different only between 1 to 2.5 degrees Celsius, which cannot actually solve the climate change problem. Another thing, you said that there is no shortage of renewable energy. But do you actually know that renewable cannot provide the required amount of energy to supply demand? And also, there are many limitations of using renewable energy. As you look at a jet and woefully insufficient bursts of electricity from solar and wind, it can produce less than 1% of the world's energy. Remember this, some reliable source of energy needed to the heavy lifting. In the case of Germany, much of the energy is coal, as Germany has paid tens of billions of dollars to subsidize solar panels and windmills. Fossil fuel capacity, especially coal, has not been shut down. It has increased. Why? Because Germans need more energy and they cannot rely on the renewables. Renewable could provide around of 25% of energy needs in some countries, but much of the generating capacity would have to be duplicated in the form of fossil or nuclear plant for use when there is little sun or wind. And the amount of coal used that will continue to be required would continue to exceed safe greenhouse gas emission limits. Renewable energy have many limitations. I will clarify more on the specific limitation of each. The first one, I will touch upon to the solar power. Even if solar power became cheaper than fossil fuels, its major limitation is that it can't power anything for about 16 hours a day. Or in the case of consecutive cloudy day, it can feed surplus from house roof into a grid running on coal, while drawing power from the grid at night. But this only works when a lot of coal or nuclear power plants are running all the time to act as giant battery into which PV can send surpluses. For the solar thermal plant, it needs to be located in Sahara region, where they can store energy as heat to generate and transmit electricity when it's needed. The biggest limitation is the significant transmission losses and the magnitude of potential of this type of renewable energy is uncertain, and especially doubtful in winter, where output is generally about 20% of summer output. This means that the solar thermal system will need to be located in the world's hottest regions. and will need to supply major demand centered by long transmission lines and will not be able to make a large contribution in winter. The second one, biomass production. For very large scale biomass production, each person in the world would need about 6.5 hectares of land growing only biomass to provide for their liquid and gas consumption. To provide the anticipated 9 billion people on Earth by 2060, we would need 24 billion hectares of biomass plantations. The world's total land area is 13 billion hectares, and the total forest, cropland, pasture adds to only about 8 billion hectares. Just about all heavily overused already. If we vary the above assumption, there is no possibility of explaining how all people could ever have something like the present rich liquid fuel consumption from biomass. And all of this I mentioned are the supporting statement that why I totally agree that renewable cannot provide the required amount of energy to supply demand. And yes, we shouldn't invest more to make renewable fully replace fossil fuel. Thank you.
Hey, okay. A link to vote for the third round of this session has been already posted in the group line. Good job, both team. So if you want to vote, vote now. Kun Prim, are you ready? Okay. So if you finish voting and the crew is ready, so Kun Prim, please take it away.
Right now? Go.
Yes, right now.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Hello. Hello. I agree with you that solar thermal system will not be able to make a large contribution. Renewable energy can be more than only solar energy. As Horn touched upon earlier, more carbon dioxide emission per unit of energy than using fossil fuel. Inhalation of toxic organic compound and chemical by anyone of any age can increase lung cancer risks. On the other hand, geothermal and biomass system emits air pollutants, though total air emissions are generally much lower than those of coal and natural gas fired power plants. The second topic is about economics benefits. Compare with fossil fuel technologies, which are typically mechanized and capital intensive. The renewable energy industry is labor intensive. Solar panels need humans to install them. Wind farm need technicians for maintenance. This means that on average, more jobs created for each unit of electricity generated from renewable source than from fossil fuel. UCS analysis found that the national renewable electricity standard would stimulate $263.4 billion in new capital investment for renewable energy technologies. This means the target is pretty huge and can help create more jobs and increasing the economics benefits. The last benefit is for the stable energy prices. Nowadays, the price of energy is changing all the time. We cannot predict it. For example, the car oil price is different when you fill it in a different day. You may get more or higher than usual. However, renewable energy provides affordable electricity across the country and can help stabilize energy price in the future. Moreover, the cost of renewable energy technologies have declined steadily and are projected to drop even more. For example, the average price to install solar dropped more than 70% between 2010 and 2017. The cost of generating electricity from wind dropped 66% between 2009 and 2016. Costs will likely decline even further as market majors and companies increasingly take advantage of economics of scales. In contrast, fossil fuel prices can vary dramatically and are prone to substantial price swings. For example, there was a rapid increase in U.S. coal price due to the rising global demand before 2008, then rapidly fall after 2008 when global demand declined. Using more renewable energy can lower the price of the demand for natural gas and coal by increasing competition and diversify our energy supplies. Moreover, increased reliance on renewable energies can help protect consumers when fossil fuel price spike. As I said, these three reasons are only part of the reason why our team support renewable energy. I firmly believe that renewable energy can save the climate change problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Chloe,
Yes.
if you're ready, please take it away.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Akaramani Songsin. As the previous speakers has tried to tell you about the public health, economic benefits, and stable energy prices that come from renewable energy. But let me tell you this. The development process of renewable energy is already a clear evidence that the statement is not completely correct. Today, as the third negative speaker, I will state more about why renewable energy is not cost effective and why we should not invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel. Calculating the cost of electricity from renewable energy sources is quite difficult. It depends on the fuel use, the cost of capital, and how much of time a plant operates, and whether it generates power at time of peak demand. In measuring the cost, economists use the term levelized cost, which is the net present value of all costs. What levelized costing doesn't take into account is the issue of intermittency. When power isn't generated on a calm day, or how solar power at night, res- resulting in the need for conventional power plants to be kept on standby. Electricity demands varies during the day in a way that the supply from wind and solar generation may not match. So even if renewable forms of energy have the same levelized cost as the conventional ones, the value of the power they produce may be lower. Another way to measure the cost is through a cost-benefit analysis, which look at the benefits of renewable energy, including the value of the fuel that would have been used if coal or gas-fired plants had produced the same amount of electricity and the amount of carbon dioxide emissions that they avoid. According to this calculation, wind and solar power appear to be far more expensive than if calculated on the basis of levelized cost. To determine the overall cost of benefits, the cost of the fossil fuel plants that need to continue to be on standby for the intermittency problems need to be factored in. For example, solar farms run at only about 15% of its capacity, so they can replace even less. 7 solar plants or 4 wind farms would be needed to produce the same amount of electricity over time as a similar sized coal-fired plant, and all that extra solar and wind capacity is expensive. You know what? In Europe, rather than seeking to increase the availability of low-cost electricity, government enforce scarcity by manipulating the factors influencing electricity prices. Enforce the use of inferior electricity sources such as wind and solar, forcing the consumer to pay the ultimate cost rather than seeking to increase the availability of low-cost electricity. And all of these I mentioned are the supporting statement that why I totally agree that renewable energy is not cost effective and why we should not invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel. Thank you.
Thank you. พี่หนึ่งครับ the YouTube link is broken. It's good now. Okay. Good. Thank you guys. I just post the fourth round of this voting, the third session of debating to the group line. So if you support the topic, please vote for team A, and if you go against the topic, please vote for team B. Now we approaching the last man of the last person of each team in the conclusion round. So we have Kun Gwen and Kun Miss Emily fighting each other real hard to gain the public audience vote. Okay, you ready now, right? Okay, if you're ready, if you guys finish voting, the support team, please take it away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Pemika Jomsriwathana, and I'm the last speaker from the support team. To conclude all the statement, we have been talking around 15 minutes. I would like to begin with some quote from Greenpeace. Typically, the one who claim that wind and solar will bring trouble to the grid are the old players who fail to take renewable energy seriously and over-invested on fossil fuel instead. Renewable energy is now eating their profit and making their business model out of date. To the team who argue that the wind is expensive and unnecessary is entirely wrong. Because Ireland has such a useful wind energy resource, we can get a cheap and clean electricity from it. Making comparison with other countries about wind effectiveness is not always valid. Ireland has a unique vital resource. We have one of the lowest support regime, and the wind is not raising any electricity price. Remember my word, is not raising any electricity price. Ireland is highly dependent on imported fossil fuel. For around 89% of its energy, spending around 6.5 billion euros per year on import. Just over half of this is for transportation. In the past 5 years, renewable energy has saved over 1 billion euros in fossil fuel imports, has reduced the amount of CO2 emission by 12 million tons, and has not added any consumer bills. Wind and others potential provide the opportunity for greater energy independence, reducing in carbon footprint, national competitiveness, leading in the greater way to control the energy price. The cost of some renewable energy inputs such as photovoltaic solar panel have halved in the price since 2008, and the capital cost of solar power plant, which panel account for slightly under half, fell by 22% between 2010 and 2013. In a few sunny places, solar power provides electricity to the grid as cheaply as conventional coal or gas-fired power plant. Some of you might still not believe that renewable energy is cheaper than fossil. Yeah, now I say it's true. Currently, renewable are more expensive than fossil fuel. However, this is changing rapidly. There are various types of renewable energy, like onshore wind is the most competitive, and offshore wind is heading the way to remain more expensive. The large-scale solar power costs are rapidly reducing. Hydropower like marine, tidal, stream, dam, run-on river are currently reducing their price. The Clean Air Act in the late 1950s means that today buildings stay the same color as they are new. The catalytic converter means that vehicles are cleaner than 25 years ago. It prevents sulfur from entering the atmosphere and turn the unburned or half-burned carbon into carbon dioxide. Why? Because carbon dioxide is harmless. More carbon dioxide provide, more plant and food is greening our earth. In conclusion, it is our responsibility to take advanced and alternative power. However, we should remember that the low-cost electricity generation is crucial to the economy. It increases the income, the employment in our sector, the consumer purchasing power, and make export more competitive. Renewable energy certainly supplement the conventional power, and it will likely to continue grow steadily. Finally, I will finish this off with some simple quote from Thomas Edison. He said that I'll put my money on the sun and solar energy. What a source power! I hope we don't have to wait until the oil and coal run out before we tackle that. As you heard, even Thomas Edison, the great inventor, believed in the potential of renewable energy. So, why don't you guys do too? That's all from our team. Thank you for listening.
Okay, great. I don't think Thomas Edison was born like when the solar energy available
Yeah,
in the market.
but he said that, so I'll take that he's has a vision on this.
Oh, okay. To imply. Okay. Good. All right. Miss Emily, are you ready to encounter the Thomas Edison's code?
Yes.
Yes, you sure? Okay. Who you got? Thomas Jefferson? No? Okay. Okay, no, could work. All right, if you're ready, Miss Emily, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emily Hiraoka, and I will be giving the opposing team a closing statement to support the idea of renewable energy cannot actually save the climate change problem, and we shouldn't invest more to make it fully replace fossil fuel. To start off, I'll be talking about the problem with solar and wind energy. As clean as wind energy may... Oh, sorry. As clean as wind energy may sound, it still has its drawbacks, namely danger to some wildlife, it's noisy, expensive upfront cost, and unpredictable. If you can imagine, these massive structures are often hundreds of feet tall and require substantial upfront investment. The placement of wind turbines in rural areas require further investment in underground lines to send power to more populated areas like towns and cities. Wind energy suffers from what is called intermittency, which is a disruption caused by the inconsistency of wind itself. Since wind can blow at various speeds, it's hard to predict the amount of energy it can collect at a given time. This means suppliers and cities need to have an energy reserve or alternative sources of power in case the wind dies down for longer lengths of time. Storing renewable energy more effectively and inexpensive energy from wind or solar could become much more viable than they are currently. However, right now, no cost-effective forms of energy storage exist and are not foreseen. The best option is to use electricity to pump water up into dams and generate with this later. This works well, but the capacity is very limited. World hydro generating capacity is about 7 to 10% of electricity demand, so there would often be times when it could not come anywhere near topping up supply. Hydroelectric power is cost-effective and does not suffer from intermittency, but has been linked to impacting on ecosystems in which they are installed and affecting settlements and livelihood, which is not so ethical. Very large-scale production of renewable energy, especially via solar, thermal, and photovoltaic energy farms located in the most favorable regions would involve long-distance transmissions. European supply from solar thermal field will probably have to be several thousand kilometers long, and the expected power losses from long distance plus local distribution are predicted to be around 15%. This makes it different from coal, natural gas, and nuclear, and in some senses worse. It means that it can't supply 100% of our needs, and intermittency needs to be factored into any electricity system design. The demands on these alternative energy sources are inordinate. They will need to not only keep up with the increasing population growth, but need to go beyond these demands by contributing to the replacement of fossil fuel energy production in order to meet future energy needs and consider the natural environment. However, the argument from governments, oil, coal, and natural gas companies is that until renewable energy sources become more viable as major energy providers, the only alternative in meeting the increasing demands for energy from a growing global population that requires more and more energy is to continue to extract fossil fuel reserves. And all of these we've mentioned are these supporting statements. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.
Hey, no breathing while talking. Very good. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for the good debate session you guys provide. I just recently posted the link of voting the fifth vote of this round to the group line. So you guys happy with your performance? Yes? Yes? Yes, very good. So let's take one more photo before we move on. So your face. Good. Good job. Please give your friends a big round of applause. Yeah. Too bad, sorry. Okay. So we arrived. No. We reached to the last debate session of this semester, which is under the topic of we definitely need AI or robot to replace human if we want to be more sustained than we currently are. So it's robot against humans now. So the support team will lead by Mintra, Jirachaya, Ploy Napas, and Mr. Chayapon or Miss Chayapon. For the against team will be Chuvin Natapum, Gopong, and Shutiwat. So this is more like the females and versus male. So basically, the female team support the robot, and the male team support the human. All right, that's good. That's good. That is good. Okay, great. I'm about to post the voting link to you guys. All right, I just post the link to your group line. So if you support AI, please vote for Team A, the girls team. If you support human, please vote for the B team, which is a guys team. All right. Okay, guys, can start voting now. Remember, the one who's debating cannot vote for your teams or against your teams. All right. ฮะโหวตไปแล้ว Okay. Okay, great. So if you guys ready, the support team, if you're ready, please take it away.
All right, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ployna Pasir Inonchon On. According to the topic, we definitely need AI or robots to replace human if we want to be more sustained than we currently are. We, as a supporters, strongly agree to this statement. First of all, to make sure that we're on the same page, I am going to inform you the definitions of each term for this topic. According to the Oxford Dictionary, defines artificial intelligence or AI as the study and development of computer system that can copy intelligent human behavior. And the word sustains means provide enough of what somebody, something needs in order to live or exist and be continued for a long time through generations and generations. So to read this statement again, it really means that we definitely need the development of computer system that can copy smart human behavior to satisfy the needs of human like us in order to live or exist and make this thing continue and continue for a long time. So who wouldn't agree with this statement? Even the company wanted sharp and efficient employees instead of the mistake creator. Why wouldn't the world want AIs? So let's get to the topic. Artificial intelligence is constantly pushing the boundaries of what machines are capable of. But could machines ever become better than us? The answer is, of course, yes. So there are at least 5 things that AI can do better than humans. According to the writer George Sakadakis, here are the 5 tough intellectual areas where AI is already performing better than human. First, search the web quicker. Many big companies such as Google or Facebook are out developing AI for more effective search engines. 2. Work in deadly environment. Robots can work in dangerous environment effectively without endangering human life, such as in recent wildfires. There has been an AI wildfires detection system in play which has saved many human and animal lives.
3. Translate in many languages. Big data and AIs could connect people around the world by providing a platform for people to communicate in their own native tongue and then translating it using big data. 4. Knowledge doesn't require consciousness. AI could discover scientific theories, medical treatments, and many more far faster than humans can, since it doesn't require rest and can work constantly 24/7. And 5, it helps doctors diagnose patients more accurately. AI is transforming the practice of medicine, make predictions about patients' future health, and recommend better treatments. AI could benefit patients living in rural communities where access to doctors and specialists can be tough. To conclude this, the usage of AI can be more effective than humans since AI is without flaw and doesn't have humans' error. Humans are also a type of robot which is outdated and prone to errors. Need maintenance, has emotions that can take things personally, and need rest. Robots and AI does not have these flaws, which make them a far more efficient and sustainable workforce than human. And that and these are my statements. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. It's your turn now, Bomb, to go against robot and the ladies team. All right, if you're ready, take it away.
Yes. So my name is Natapum Nirvashalamani. The first speaker. To begin with, I want to define the word sustainability first. Sustainability means meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. Sustainability is not just environmentalism. Embedded in most definition of sustainability, we also find concern for social equity and economic development. In a vision of economic sustainability, human communities across the globe are able to maintain their independence and have access to the resources that they require, financial and others, to meet their needs. Now, allow me to present to you what will happen if we replace human with AI. A report from the World Economic Forum estimated that AI will displace or eliminate 75 million jobs by 2022. Even though AI might create some job, but compared to the job that are replaced, still there is a big loss. Besides, job that AI create is just AI managing or improving the system, which will require skilled labor. That will raise the question: what about non skilled laborers? With the AI replacement, that will cause a lot of unemployment rate. According to the Philip curve, an economic concept developed by a New Zealand economist, William Phillips, stated that inflation and unemployment have a stable and inverse relationship. The theory claims that with economic growth comes inflation, which in turn should lead to more jobs and less unemployment. In contrast, the higher unemployment rate, the higher the deflation rate. Deflation is general decline in the price of goods and services. It may seem like a blessing, but it is actually a curse because it generates a vicious cycle. If the price go down, the profit of the business tend to go down with them, and the economy suffer. A lot of people therefore either lose their job or have to accept lower wages. And what happens when people have less money? They consume less. And what happened next is that the decline of demand for goods and services. What happened next? Even bigger deflation. Moreover, according to the Okun law by Arthur Okun, a Yale professor and another economist, a rise in unemployment rate affect gross domestic product or GDP, while a percentage increase in unemployment rate cause a 2% fall in GDP. A low GDP indicates that a country is struggling to supply its inhabitants with everything they need. Now, without the financial resources to meet their needs, how can we say that we are sustainable? Thank you.
Okay, we are sustainable. คมมาก All right. I'm just recently post the second round of voting for the last debating session of today. Please do vote. Remember, if you support the human, vote for the ladies team, team A. If you support the robot, please vote for the ladies team, team A. And if you support a human, please vote for the boys team, team B. All right. Good. Okay, ladies, you ready? Okay, if you're ready, the second round will start now. Take it away.
Hello, my name is Chayaporn Lawanachai from support team. I'm surely that against team statement is totally wrong that AI will displace and eliminate 75 million jobs by 2022 because the factor of people losing jobs is not just development of AI, but there are such examples such as they don't work on the right things, they suffer from stagnation, and they don't get along with their co-worker, so and so on. So, moreover, according to article of Amit Kauri in Forbes website, it highlights and predicts that the arrival of machine and algorithm in the workplace is also create 133 million new roles in 2022. This means that the first against of speaker state that is totally false because the replacement of AI and robot will help people to create more new jobs than it would destroy about 60 million jobs. Just like AI replacing labor worker, there will be a job creation by AI called labor resisting technology, which workers do not have to labor causing physical pain. For my state, talking about economic factor, there are many more things that AI came to enhance the world economic. Chinese company Alibaba is the world's largest e-commerce platform that sells more than Amazon and eBay combined. AI is the integrate in Alibaba daily operation and is used to predict that customer might want to buy. With natural language processing, the company automatically generates product description for the site. Another way Alibaba use AI is its City Brain project. To create smart city, the project use AI algorithm to help reduce traffic jam by monitoring every vehicle in the city. Additionally, Alibaba through its cloud computing division called Alibaba Cloud. It helps farmers monitor crop to provide yield and cut costs with artificial intelligence. Another innovative way Amazon use AI is to ship things to you before you ever think that about to buy this product. They collect a lot of data about each person buying habit and have such confidence in how the data they collect helps them recommend item to its customer and now predict what they need even before they need it by using predictive analysis. In the time, Amazon launched a new convenience store concept called Amazon Go. Unlike other stores, there is no checkout required. The store have AI technology that track the item you pick on and then automatically charge you for those items through Amazon Go app on your phone. This is no checkout, so you bring your own bag to fill up with the item, and there are cameras watching your every move to identify every item that you put in the bag to automatically charge you for it. To conclude, replacing AI with human does not decline the price level of goods and service, and also did not generate the vicious cycle. It's really beneficial to the economic since the big companies are trying to develop it to suit their business model and become the model for smaller company to follow. If you really replace human with AI in the economic industry, the result would really come out effective that we currently are. Thank you.
Okay, great. Good job. So Bang, are you ready? Are you ready, Bang? Guy,
Okay.
are you ready?
Okay, fine. Yes.
Okay, good. All right, if you're ready, take it away. Greeting my noble friend and my respectful teacher. My name is Bang Chittiwat Krajashod, and I would first like to assess the situation of the other side for the economical use of AI and to manage the economy. Be closer to the mic. Will cause a lot of ethical problems, which still needs to be managed by humans. Okay. Now, let me go on to explain why we do not need AI or robots to replace humans. If we want to be more sustainable than we currently are in the topic of social sustainability, but before that, let me define what is social sustainability. Social sustainability means that the universal human rights and basic necessities are attainable by all people which have access to enough resources in order to keep their families and community healthy and secure. Healthy communities have just the right leader who ensure personal and labor culture and cultural rights are respected and all people are protected from discrimination. Firstly, why AI wouldn't be able to do this is because AI will not be able to replicate the way humans do things in society. No matter how smart a machine becomes, it can never replace human. Machines are rational, but very inhuman as they do not process emotion or moral values. They don't know what is ethical and what is legal. This can be seen during the massacres of the incident in London, where there's an inflated price on the Uber AI during Saturday night after a van plowed through pedestrians in London Bridge and three knife-wielding men attacked revelers in a nearby nightlife district. This makes the Uber fare algorithm that they react to demand surge up the price to 2.1 times during a terrorist attack, showing their inability for AI to think by itself ethically. This will show that AI does not have their judgment skill. They do what they are told to do, and therefore, judgment of right or wrong is new to them. If they encounter a situation that is unfamiliar to them, then they can perform incorrectly or break down in such situation. It is impossible to make AI think like human because for a thing to have a mind, it must have a reason. And for a thing to have reason, it must have an ability to think. This is a quote from a famous philosopher, René Descartes. Secondly, AI does not have any creativity. Machines can't be creative. They can only do what they are being taught or commanded. Though they help in designing and creating, they can't match the power of human brain. Humans are sensitive and intellectual, and they are very creative too. They can generate ideas. They can think outside the box. They see, they hear, they think, and they feel, which machine can't. Their thoughts are guided by their feelings, which are completely lacking in machine. No matter how much machine can outgrow, it can't inherit those values. This can be proved by using the Chinese room theory. Chinese room theory holds that a digital computer executing program cannot be shown to have a mind, understanding, or consciousness regarding how intelligent or how human-like they behave. And further on, to support the theory, I will quote a famous philosopher again, René Descartes. I think, therefore I am. He found that he could not doubt himself that he exists, as he was the one doubting in the first place, meaning that we human are human because our ability to have consciousness.
This is why I believe that human is not an AI or neither a robot. Let me give you one more idea. Human learn from their mistake, why AI do not. If human made error in disease diagnosis in discovering new drugs, they would learn from their mistake and improve in their field. AI would not. In a nutshell, due to two factors of ethical and moral values and the ability for AI and robots to think creatively, I strongly believe that AI cannot replace human or create social sustainability. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, ครับ Bang. Thank you so much. Okay, wait. I think I sent the wrong link to you because Bang's pitch is so fascinating. Okay, just give me a second. Second 4, round 3. Okay, there you go.
Hello, my name is Jirash.
Hold on, and then. Okay, good. So I just recently sent a link to vote for the round 3 of this section 4. Okay, if you guys ready, please do vote now. Okay, cool. And support team, I think you're more than ready now. If you want to start, just take it away.
Hello, my name is Jirashaya Nemipanya. First of all, I'm going to discuss the other side statement, which is not accurate at all. Do you know that platform of the European Parliament's research, AI can create more sustainability to economic section by increasing the efficiency and vastly improvement decision-making process by analyzing large amount of data. It can also swan the creations of new products and service markets and industries, boosting customer demand and generating new revenue streams. This means that strategies made by AI are better than the strategy of human. According to the crisis of AI, not cheatingly, agree that the machines could never be creative or curious or discover anything of significance because their lack of consciousness. Nevertheless, a team as tough have been proved naysayers wrong. Intelligence does not need consciousness to discover new knowledge. By the combining genetic algorithm with genetic pathway simulations, the research creates a system that was able to make the first scientific theories to be discovered than AI. Of how platform regenerates body part, the AI-generated theories will have a significant impact in human regenerative medicine. Talking about my statement, the next industrial revolution is already happening. Artificial intelligence or AI ushering in an era of technologies that are faster, more adaptable, more efficient, and making the world more digitally connected. As AI become one of society's greatest assets, it's especially helpful for solving problems that seem larger than life. For example, protecting our natural environment and etc. Talking about AI, sustainability, machine learning, robotics, drones, and the Internet of Things or IoT, society can achieve better monitoring, understanding, and preventions of damage and stressors on earth, land, and waters. First of all, land. According to a United Nations, the earth soil is under pressures from pollutions, population growth, intensive farming, and host of the other land usage. Its structure is not only compromised, but much of it is directly polluted. AI is the powers of completely transform agriculture practice to make them faster for the earth and people health. Machine learning combined with robotics can provide automated data collections and decision making to optimize farming process. This will make farming not only more efficient, but it also lead more organic and earth-friendly crops. For for the air, AI can also provide the tools for better monitor pollutions and identify source of air quality issues, which is faster and more accurate. In the case of a gas leak, for example, smart sensor equipped with the machine learning and self-organizing mesh network technology allow for a more target recommendation. In addition to the monitoring problem in air, AI can also reduce the harmful emissions pumped into the first place. Lastly, the water. Humans have polluted the ocean to dangerous level, which offshore dealing cargo transport and trash, which is one garbage truck's plastic dump into the ocean every minute, which should lead an amount of 8 million metric tons of plastic annually. But AI is already coming with their rescue. The first effort expect to effectively start deconstructing the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is essentially an autonomous floating garbage truck powered by AI. AI shaping to be one of the society's most helpful tools. With it, we can start making significant amends with our land, air, and water and clean it up for a healthier planet. So, who wouldn't need AI to keep us more sustained? Thank you.
Okay, now the against team, Mr. Best, if you're ready. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, please take it away.
Hello, my name is Gopong Rungwatanakun from the Against team. I mean, not going to lie, AI is really play a big role on energy management on this day. It can help organizing the production and the consumption of the energy that is good for environmental sustainability. But as we want to talk about the environmental sustainability, I mean, it is about how we can keep the balance of the environmental system while the natural resources are consumed and can be replenished by themselves. As the topic is to replace the human by the robot or the AI, as to be more sustained than it used to be, I don't think it's a good idea at all. Imagine that you're in the rice crop, and there are a lot of rats that eat rice and the snakes that eat rats. You can see that the snake will eat the rat and the rat will be decreased. And when the rat decrease, the snake will be decreased too because they don't have enough food. And then after that, the rice will be increased and then the rat will be increased and the snake will be increased. This is how we call the balance in the ecosystem. But in the world, we are now is not as small as the field that I get into the example. We, the human, are the one that is the top predator, and we have controlled the food web for thousands of years. And somehow, if we want to really replace the human with the robot or AI, the population will be chaos. The inferior species will be increased, and they will fight each other and make the other inferior species go to extinct. I don't think it's really an environmental sustainability. At the same way as natural resources, we, the human, have used up a lot of crude oil, coal, and natural resources and other gas, but they are not really the limited resources. It just need like thousands of years to be replenished. However, we have the technology that can produce the green energy like solar energy or wind energy. These are the green energy that we can get it for free and we don't harm the natural. We cost less on natural resources consumption and we produce less pollution in the environment. We can say that the AI, the robotic, the IoT things can help the management, but we don't really need to replace the human. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Best. Now I'm sending you a section 4 of round 4 of the voting to the group line. Please do vote. And we now arrive to the concluder of each team and the final of the debating round. We have Miss Mintra here for the support team, and we also have the Mr. Chauvin for the against team. Yes. Okay. So Mintra, are you ready? Have you guys finished voting already? Good. No? Okay, please do vote now. Okay, good. So if you're ready, Miss Mintra, make sure you conclude it strong, finish strong, and try to.
Okay, good morning to all the audience. I am the last speaker of the support team. I would like to conclude the fact that replacing AI with human is definitely more sustainable than we currently are. First of all, AI physical needs are not as much as human needs. It does not need a rest. It can work 24/7. Its physicality is not fragile. It can face the dangerous environment which is human cannot. If once the fireman gets trapped in the Wi-Fi, we will lose human resource affecting many dimensions such as offense. Also, AI contains every knowledge we have put in digital form with no limit of time and place access. And also computing more accurately, less error, and faster. And if AI caused error, it would be fixed and learn from the mistake faster than human. Human knowledge cannot cover all fields, and the error prone still happens. We could summarize that AI is sustainable in the dimensions of physical and computing. With these sustainabilities of AI, it could help in many fields. In the economic field, it expands the boundary of ability and also from the economic system, such as blockchain. Moreover, it reforms the consumptions industry in every sector. Choosing, paying, shipping are all in AI. In the medical field, it's help in sector every aspect. Medical education, it can train students so that they know what to do in certain circumstances. In administration, it used to manage the way in which medications are being disrupted, either in hospital, nursing homes, or pharmacies. For surgery, it knows as a decrease in failure rates. In the future robot, there will be the care robot like babysitting, nursing, elderly care, and another future robot is humanoid robot. Japan is currently the main country which is investing in this type of robot to their aging population which is need of care. Agriculture field, labor work is like collecting milk of fruit. Now AI can do it. The cow making robot benefit human as well as for the animals since it does not require human interface, as it knows exactly when a cow needs. Thus, the animal can choose for itself and it is less stressed. In the environment aspect, AI support low carbon energy, reducing marine pollutions and restoring degraded land and soil. The benefit from sustainability of AI are not all that. There are still many more if we have time for a day. Finally, I would like to reform my strong argument that we definitely need AI or robots to replace humans if we want to be more sustainable than we currently are. The world won't stop only on this point. The world will be better endlessly. Human will need to make it better with the help of AI that will work more efficiently and sustainability. AI help humans to expand the boundary of ability to do something bigger than ever. So let's just stop denying AI is more sustainable than human and overcome this fact. Look into the future and see something for a long run. Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you, Miss Mintra and the support team. Okay, Mr. Chawin, are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, let's finish strong here. Are you ready? Take it away now.
Hello. Hello. Hello, my fellow humans, friends. Hello, my name is Shawin Virya Sopon, and I'm the last speaker of the Against team. So, as I've been listening to the support team for about 20 minutes now, I can definitely point out some of the misconceptions about AI and robots that the support team has claimed. So, I would like to go back to some of the statements that the last member of the support team has claimed, but are totally false. So there are three reasons why her statements are false. The first reason is that she has mentioned some examples of AI which have advantages in the physical and computing aspects, right? So do you know that according to the scientist, Dr. Sam Harris, he has stated that AI may have more precision in terms of physical and computing aspects, but it still needs controls from humans to perform tasks. So AI and robots are just products of information processing in physical systems. However, without any control by humans, the AI and robots can be harmful and cannot even think of the new solutions in managing the problem. So I can say that her first statement is a false statement. The second reason why she has made false statement is that as she mentioned some examples of AI which can provide medical education to the students or even babysitting the children. So according to the article from medium.com, why artificial intelligence will never replace the teachers, it states that while artificial intelligence can teach students skills or reinforce difficult concepts for struggling students, it can replace a human teacher. So that your second claim is then a false statement. The third reason that your statement is false is that as you make examples of AI which provide environmental and economic sustainability. So I would like to ask you about the social sustainability. So as my second speaker has already proposed, social sustainability is the most important kind of sustainability that shapes the society. So if you replace humans with AI or robots, how can the social sustainability emerge? Since according to the research by the World Scientific Column, AI are not able to replicate the way humans do things in society. So that your third statement is now a false statement. So ladies and gentlemen, as the last speaker of the against team, I would like to restate the falseness of the statement. We can definitely need AI or robots to replace humans if we want to be more sustained than we currently are. This is totally false. So the important terms used here are the words definitely, replace, and more sustained. As my previous speakers have already mentioned, AI will not definitely replace humans to create more sustainability. Whether in economical sustainability, where AI will be leaving people in various sectors without jobs to earn a living, leading to an economic crisis. Or the environmental sustainability, where AI still needs controls from humans in order to create new ideas to solve new environmental problems. Or even the social sustainability, where AI cannot replicate the way humans do things in society. Hence will be no social sustainability at all. So as the last against team's member again, I would like to show you the big picture and the weakness or even the dark sides of AI and robots. So according to the article published by Open Colleges, one of the most notable Australian leading education organizations, there are 6 skills that cannot be replicated by artificial intelligence. 1. AI and robots don't have the ability to show deep empathy to customers. 2. AI and robots don't have the ability to undertake growth management. It means that it cannot support organization members to develop their skills and grow professionally. 3. AI and robots don't have the ability to employ mind management. 4. AI and robots don't have the ability to perform collective intelligence management, meaning that It has no ability to manage organization members and working as a team. 5. AI and robots don't have the ability to realize new ideas or even creativity. And 6. AI and robots don't have the ability to judge. My fellow human friends, imagine that the business executives will be replaced by AI and robots which don't have the ability to undertake growth management at all. Imagine the creative artists that will be replaced by AI and robots which don't have the ability to realize new ideas or even creativities. Imagine the service-minded receptionists that will be replaced by AI and robots which don't have the ability to show deep empathy to the customers. May I ask you one question, my friends? Do you still want to replace humans with robots and AIs? According to the research from Nick Brostorm, a Swedish-born philosopher at the University of Oxford, known for his work on human enhancement ethics and super intelligent risk. So he has stated that the human race will have to solve the control problem before any super intelligence is created. As a poorly designed super intelligent might rationally decide to seize control its environment and refuse to permit its creators to modify it after launch. It's very scary, isn't it? So the article by J. Sri Pandya, a leading expert at the intersection of science, technology, and security of the founder and is the founder and chief executive officer as the risk group, is even pointing out that AI can be biased if there are no humans to control it over them. They can even regulate their own regulations that may be inhumane and lessen the sustainability of the world. Now let me ask you more questions. How can you create sustainability if the replacement of humans by AI and robots will eliminate the essential skills such as team working, creativity, or growth management mindset? The 3 skills that are essential to the creation of sustainability. How can you create sustainability if the replacement of human by AI and robots will diminish the jobs, create economic crisis, and even make future generations of humans disappear, both physically and mentally? How can you create sustainability if the replacement of humans and AI and robots can be biased and even create unethical regulations by their own without any controls? As the behalf of not only the against team, ladies and gentlemen, but for the entire human race, I am 1000% sure that the AI and robots will definitely not replace humans if we want more sustainability. Rather, it will help humans as just one of the tools. Like what Eric Banjofson, director of the AI initiative on the digital economy, has said. I think what makes AI different from other technologies is that it's going to bring humans and machines closer together. AI is sometimes incorrectly framed as machines replacing humans. It's not about machines replacing humans, but machines helping humans. Humans and machines have different relative strengths and weaknesses, and it's about the combination of these two that will allow human intents and business proceed to scale. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot definitely replace humans if we want more sustainability, but we can work with AI and robots to help humans be more sustained. Thank you very much for today. Goodbye.
All right. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. Strong finish indeed. Indeed. Okay, I post the link to group line already, and let's take one last photo for this class. Come on. Okay, great. Big hand for your friends. I think you guys has done a pretty amazing job. Lots of data and maybe preparation hopefully. I think those are a great eight topics of the. I mean, if you speak about sustainable development, right, there are gonna be more topics available. But I mean, I think this eight sort of like include most of the hot topic that we are currently debating now in our world. Okay, so don't forget to do the conference on the 4th of December. I'm look forward to it. Is there anything I can help you? Please let me know. And I hope you guys have a very good exam week next week. Get A, get B, get C, get D. Depends on you. Okay, get A. I hope you got A in every subject that you have. All right. Okay, I will see you guys around and bye bye. Thank you. Thank you.